Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is going to be another story of Dewey's gaming life. We left off with Pokemon and the 3DS. Me going into details about, or not 3DS, but the DS. Oh, good lord, I'm already messing up. But now let's talk. Let's turn into my my next turn of events into PC gaming. Now, PC gaming for me has always been a relatively big thing. Like I said, I played the Oregon Trail, the Odell Lake, Family Feud, that kind of stuff on the old apples at my old grade school. Um, but since we weren't allowed any consoles in our family, one thing that we did have though was PCs, whether it be Apple or whatnot. I remember playing Asteroids. Um, excuse me, a version of Space Invaders, and random stuff like that on my parents' old Apple computer that they had in my bedroom for whatever reason. I'm pretty sure it was in my bedroom at least. I was really young and didn't really know how to use it, so but it's insert the floppy disk and you get to play these games. That was fun, and that's a really old memory. But the first like really PC games that I started to get into, uh, if when I think Sims was probably one of the like the first ones that I played a lot of. Oh, I remember. So back with my cousin, the same cousin that had the oh god, what do you call them? The Perfect Art and all that kind of stuff. He also played a couple PC games, and one of the games he had was Red Alert, Command and Conquer Red Alert. Um, and I remember playing that game for like 3 hours straight, ignoring like my entire family there, and just playing that. Uh, and so that was something that I really wanted, and so I had my parents buy that for me. And my favorite strategy, my absolute favorite strategy, was to get Tanya. She was like a special unit character in that game, and there was no population limit or anything like that, so you could build as many of these things as you wanted. And I would just my how I always played these games when I was younger is I would wall myself off, usually on an island, and play against like two easy enemies. And they would be on their own islands. And I think like the easy enemies didn't know how to like traverse across the sea, so I was always safe. And so I would just mine up as much stuff as possible, and I'd build like probably like 100 Tanyas, and these special units were pretty good. And then I literally, I had to have my front unit of dug in just infantry soldiers. Like I'd probably have like 10 of them, and they would literally destroy everything that came, because the enemy, if they did manage to get to me, would just send like 3 units at once, and I would have 10 of these guys, and they'd be like fully ranked up, and they'd just murder like everyone that came over, even tanks. Like tanks would start coming and they wouldn't even matter because I was just too good. um, and so then I build 100 of these Tanyas, and then I'd have them go and kill everything. Like I'd just go to this base, and this poor base had like 4 structures and like maybe 6 units to defend, and in came my army of Tanyas, and they just destroyed everything. And that's how I would play that game. And my sister actually really liked that game too, because you could build these dogs, guard dogs, and the guard dogs would insta kill any of the infantry. And so it would so she would build like 300 of these things. Like my poor old computer like wouldn't be able to handle this. It's just like one frame every 10 seconds, like a slideshow as these dogs move across the map, and then they just kill everything in the computer, like blue screen. And it was wonderful. But it was always fun because I really enjoyed playing games with my sister, because I mean, it's my sister, and I just enjoy playing games, period. So when I can share it with the sibling, that was always great. But like I said earlier, there's The Sims. Spend countless hours in that game cheating, like Rosebud. Nobody like I did not play that game how it should have been played. I think I tried once, and I'm just like, this is so boring and hard. I don't want to do this. And so I'd just cheat and I'd build these giant mansions that would have no artistic style to them whatsoever. They literally, I'd find the biggest lot and I'd just build a giant, just square building with like lots of rooms. There would be no art to it. The colors, I would just pick random flooring and wallpapers for everything. And it would be ugly, but I would have like all the best stuff. I'd have like 18 TVs and stuff like that, and microwaves. And then of course, being the teenager that I was, like the Sims would take showers, and I would delete the showers so they'd be like naked running around, and then I would lock them in a room and burn that room, and so they would die. And I was such a terrible kid. I was just, oh my god, it was painful. At the things that I did to these poor Sims. And then you'd get this lot that has like, I've killed like 18 people on this lot. And I'd make another Sim live there, and there'd be like, I think this might have been later Sims. I can't remember. We had every single Sim up to Sim Online. My parents didn't want me playing that because it was an online game, and there are weird people online, which is very true. I've seen videos from that game, and it's like half the people on there are sexual predators or something. I don't even know. But so anyways, I had all the Sims up to that. And so there would be haunted. I'd make these poor people live in this haunted area. They'd never get any sleep, but it didn't matter because I knew a cheat that would just make them happy again. Oh god, I would always design it so it's like I would have a block of me, and I'd be like this super rich ballin' dude, be like, yeah, what's up, ladies? And then, of course, you have like all your real life crushes around the neighborhood, so they'd come visit you, and you'd be like all swaggin', be like, hey, what's up? And then you'd like kiss them, like, ah! That's so pathetic. But so there was Sims. God, what else? And then one of my friends, Stefan, introduced to me Age of Empires and Age of Mythology. And Age of Mythology has to be probably one of my favorite RTSs of all time. I freaking love Age of Mythology. We would go into a map, and we would put like 3 really hard enemies in there, and then we'd just kind of wall ourselves in a little corner. And how when I started actually trying to play RTSs, I would legitimately just I'd just wall myself out, and I always thought that the best defense was a great offense. And so I would have like the best defenses possible, like 3 layers of like stone walls with like guard towers in there, catapults guarding archers and all that kind of stuff. And so we'd pretty much hold out until we have this like fearsome army. And then we'd go and we'd just have them like AFK attack one of the bases. We knew nothing about macro or micro back then, so it was legitimately just like, whatever. We'll go in and do whatever and attack all these things, and it'll be fun. Oh God. Let's see, and then Age of Empires. I don't like Age of Empires very much. I beat the campaigns for Age of Mythology, both that and the Titans expansions. Age of Empires was like too complicated for me to do what do you call them, the campaigns. But I would always just do like multiplayer maps and co-op maps, that kind of stuff with that. And I'm a huge medieval fan. I love the medieval era. I hate the Renaissance because it went past medieval era, and you stopped getting like longbows and the knights and that kind of stuff. And I always just viewed the Renaissance as this like really like happy time that was just like boring. Nobody cares. In particular, I love Crusades, like crusading. I know a lot about a lot of the Crusades. So yeah, that always had a passion. So like with Age of Empires, I would never want to expand past like the medieval era in that, and that always caused problems because all my other friends just like, why are you doing this? This is so boring. I'm just like, no, my knight's gonna own you noobs, poke you with my javelin. You know what I mean? No. Oh god, what other PC games I played? There's so then started my obsession with Lord of the Rings, and Oh, this is a whole nother video in itself, more or less. If you guys know me and you've known me personally, and probably actually through Media Cows, you know that my absolute obsession with Lord of the Rings. My goal is to one day meet Stephen Colbert so I can quiz him on Lord of the Rings. I think at this moment he may know more than me, but if I know that that's coming, I will do endless research to know more than him. Um, but Lord of the Rings is a complete obsession with mine. I played like almost every video game for it. Actually, funny enough, a lot of people consider that the Two Towers for the PS2 to be one of the best Lord of the Rings games ever. I actually never got to play that. I haven't. I would like to one of these days actually play that because I still think that it could hold up. And people still say it's such a good game, so I'd like to play that. But I played the Return of the King game based off the movie. I played the Fellowship of the Ring game, not based off the movie, which is like really old, and I remember I like that. I beat that. I played the Return of the King like third person game, in which I beat that so many times over, and I was really good at that game. And even though like sometimes the camera angles were just like god awful in that game, I loved it. And then came Battle for Middle Earth, and Battle for Middle Earth was really my first experience into a more competitive gaming atmosphere. Um, Other than if we're talking about like friends playing with like my consoles and stuff, and we'll get to that. But first, let me talk about Battle for Middle Earth. So I played through that campaign, I beat it, and I started to get okay with it. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'm good enough to play online. And actually, real quick, my first online experience with it was Age of Mythology, and I had my dad sign me up for it, and I went online and I played against this person. I got crushed, and I never touched that online again because this isn't fun. I can't cheat. What is this nonsense? I had this whole strategy. I'm like going. I'm like, all right, I'll get to cheat now. Ha ha ha! This guy will never see it coming. Then, obviously, online play, the cheats were disabled, and I was crushed because I didn't know how to actually play the game. But anyways, with Battle for Middle Earth, I actually went online and I tried online for the first time. I think they use Games Radar. I think that's the online like service that they used. But there were clans. I joined. It was the typical teenager clan thing where I'll play a couple matches in clan until I start losing a lot and losing rating, and so then I'll go and I'll start a new clan because the old clan is old and they're dumb and everyone on there is bad, so I'm just gonna start a new one, and I kept on doing that. But eventually, I started to get good at the game, and it was legitimately like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the Day 9 similar video to this where he talks about his life in StarCraft and his career in StarCraft, and how he's talking about when he first played StarCraft, it was, the whole keyboard. What is this nonsense? That's it's a whole fucking keyboard. I can't use all of this. I'm just going to click everything. And that's what I did for Battle for Middle Earth. But then I started to realize that, hey, these shortcuts are really nice. I can click on this and press A and it'll start, or this, press on this and press F, and that'll start building a farm, or be in for a blacksmith or whatever the buttons were. And those little reactions for me started to, allow me to be a lot better. And I started playing against people online and started winning. I actually owe a lot of my competitiveness to one of my good friends and my best friend, Nick Doms. He is over in Japan right now, but we've played so many games together through my entire life that it's crazy. But I played like a lot against him. I would play online, or he'd come over and we'd have like little tournaments. And this could be me completely not remembering right, but I'm pretty sure I had like a 90% win rate for him. Like, he had a beast early game, like a beast early game. He was really good about microing, I believe that's the right term, microing his units, and countering the units that I had. I would always play Rohan. Well, I played Rohan in the beginning. He would always play Isengard, because he liked the Uruk-hai. and Rohan was always my favorite, and had more of the heroes and all that kind of stuff. Uh, and so I always had my horses, and my horses, he would always counter them with the pikemen. And then I started actually venturing into competitive builds. And although there was no esports scene, I think there might have been a small tournament scene for Battle for Middle Earth. The I started looking into competitive builds for it, and I started playing Gondor a lot because Gondor was just overpowered. Like you could beat anything with Gondor if you played it well. And the key for Gondor was always to you would build like two farms, I think, right away in your main base. You would branch out to get two farms on the outside, and start. You want to leave. There's like these neutral creeps that are all over the place. You want to leave those for your hero. Basically, you would build stables, get two horses, and then you'd rush Gandalf. And Gandalf was just like no one beat Gandalf. Gandalf was just super OP. And you wanted to rush Gandalf to level 10, I think that's what it was, as fast as possible. Because then he got his Word of Power thing that just destroyed all life. And so I really started going into that and getting good at that. And I played a lot against Nick, and we got really good. And then I started playing online, and I started playing against people online, and I'd win against people online. And then I did a lot of 2v2s with Nick, and with another of my friends, Cullen. We'd do a lot of 2v2 online, and we'd win some of those. Usually when you did like the 2v2, I don't think we won a lot of those just because we were playing against people that are a lot better than us. But that was a lot of fun. That's really where my competitive gaming started. And that's where it started.